What's up, everyone? Today we are getting into hip thrust progressions, or just really talking about main coaching components with the hip thrust. The hip thrust is a very important initial progression in regards to developing strength in the posterior chain, primarily into the glutes, the hamstrings, and a little bit in the low back. But when we do this, we want to make sure that we set up to a bench comfortably, that we have it at the right height, that we make sure that we can get our shoulders on it and remain supported. As you see, when I do this, I actually don't try to keep my head on the bench while I'm going through and moving my hips. And the emphasis is the pushing of the hip forward as I move through this exercise. So what I try to do is make sure my feet are about hip width apart. I make sure that I can push through my heel so I don't bring my feet too close to my butt. And then as I elevate or push into the floor, I'm imagining taking the center of my hip and pressing it towards the ceiling. Another important component to this exercise is making sure you keep your abdominals contracted, because we want to make sure we brace for our core so we don't try to overextend or try to get into too much extension in the lumbar spine, because that can oftentimes create irritation for people. Now, getting into variations of loading, we can go into a dumbbell for a very simple loading scheme. And this is basically taking a dumbbell, laying it across the center of the hip, and then imagining that center of the hip being where we're trying to push up towards the ceiling in this. Still making sure we keep the same basic mechanics, making sure that we're nice and stable and supported across the shoulders, making sure we're pushing through the heel, squeezing the glutes. If you can, hold glute tension the entire time on the repetition. On the way up, really contracting and shortening. On the way down, holding the glutes tight so we hold tension in them as they're getting longer, and trying to keep the hips stable. Exhaling as we're pressing the hips up, inhaling as we're letting the hips drop back down. Then finally, we can get into our barbell hip thrust, which is done laying just a barbell across with a little bit of weight. For some people that need a little bit heavier loading, make sure that you go ahead and get a pad if you need to, if it's uncomfortable, and follow all those same mechanics we've just talked you through. Thank you guys for watching this. I appreciate the views. I appreciate the comments. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below so you can keep up to date on the exercises that I keep plugging out for you guys. Talk to you soon.